pros of the trade. Social surge is live and we're here to get paid. Social media for the Creek crowd. We turn up the signal, we make your brand loud. You run your business, we handle the fee. Social surge delivers everything.
Good morning, everyone. It is Social Surge. I'm your host, Mo Regalado. Coming in, joining me this morning, of course, is my ride or die, my right-hand man.
Always. As always.
Who is a bit under the weather.
Just a little bit. It's okay.
Just a little bit. It's fine. This is fine. We're all fine. So,
Excuse me.
Yep. So as we were saying, he's a bit under the weather. had an attack of allergies when we got back from North Dakota and Minnesota over the weekend. Got home and immediately just was obliterated by allergies. So now it's a little bit of an infection and it's just not doing him well. So on today's show, good morning, Holly Pennington. Thanks for joining us over on the gram. We are actually talking about something that is very near and dear to my heart. Good morning, DB. And it's all about sales. So I am of the firm belief that everything is a sale. Everything is a transaction. You might think that is very, very, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Mercenary of me. I have been called mercenary before. But as we were talking yesterday with two solar guys who came to our house, and I'll get into that, I was telling them every relationship is a sale, right? Yeah. I had to sell my features and benefits onto What the Heck before he decided that, he was going to make a purchase.
Lifelong purchase.
Oh, you're not getting out of this contract. Nope. And so, but that's the thing, like every relationship, we sell ourselves, our features and benefits, hoping that the other person looks over the flaws, looks over the dings, the little rub mark here and there. What?
A little tire kicking.
A little tire kicking. And so of course, that's, if you think about it that way, every relationship that you've ever had in your entire life is that very thing. You are selling your best features and benefits to that person so that in the long run they stick around and they stay with you, right? So we had two guys come over yesterday, and just for some I guess some back information. Like 2 years ago, we put solar panels out on our property. We own 3 acres out in Washington State. They wanted to put it on the roof. And I was like, there's no way you're putting solar panels on my brand new roof. That's not happening. No, not happening. So I'm like, but I got plenty of land. Why not just put it out on the property? So we have like 14 solar panels.
God, no. It's a lot more than that.
Well, we have big ones. Like, I guess I'm talking about the big, like they're big solar panels.
Yeah, they're 4 high, 9 across.
Okay, so we have a lot. We have a lot. And so what's happening in Spokane, Vista Utilities has approved for one of the data centers to come in. And so there's some issues and challenges when it comes to power. As we all know, data centers is a very hot topic. I'm neither a NIMBY or a YIMBY on this. I think.
Well, the thing is with that is that they agreed to half of the electricity that they generate will be used for the data centers. So of course the community was like, what? Because along with that, then they said that they're going to do rolling blackouts. So that caught a lot of attention to a lot of people. And of course, as you were saying, since we got the solar panels, the whole intent behind that was so that we would be blackout resistant.
Right. We would be independent.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but what we have found, and this is kind of an interesting thing about solar companies, the solar company that we purchased from, they're already out of business.
Yep.
So the solar company that came in yesterday, Centria, and this actually goes to most of the story that we're talking about follow-up and sales, is they're one of the larger solar companies in the United States. And so funny enough, we've actually been followed up by this company, I think 3 times now. 3rd time's the charm. First time I told the guy, hey, I already have solar panels. We're good. This was like a year ago. So the second time, a different guy came, and I was like, I already told your other guy, we've already got solar panels. We're good. Well, probably during the winter sometime, there was a blackout. The power went out. There's actually, like, I think somebody hit a transformer. Yeah. And he was like, why is our power out? We have solar panels. We should have backup, right?
Yeah.
Realizing that you actually have to have something to create the conversion. It's a whole long thing. Anyway, we don't have that portion of it. So the guy walks up, we're sitting outside, and I say, he starts talking to us about it. And I'm like, I don't want to hear your spiel. I don't want to hear your spiel about solar panels. We already have solar panels. My question to you is, do you have batteries? Do you have a way that we can become independent and off-grid the way that we want? So that started a whole different conversation, which was fabulous.
Yes.
We ended up having to leave. They come back. We end up talking, I shit you not, almost 2 hours, not about solar panels.
Nope.
About being off-grid. We talk about sales, marketing, models, you name it, and follow-up. And so one of the funny things is the kid, his name is Alvaro. He goes by Tony. But what was great about that is at the end of the conversation, he's like, well, speaking of follow-up, if I hadn't followed up with you, and I was like, but that's exactly it, right? There was a follow-up process that they did going door to door, right? And so we talked about lists, we talked about customers, we talked about how do you create the follow-up, and I basically gave a masterclass to them on how to do follow-up properly. And I was like, that will be $8,000, please. What was really cool about this whole experience? I am a sales girl at heart. I love the art of a sale. When we go, and Hector knows this, when we go to craft fairs, when we go to wherever we go, if I'm interested in purchasing something, I'm actually going to purchase something from someone who sells me the product. I don't want going to and this is all for all of our crafty friends out there. If you're standing behind your booth with your arms crossed and your face is angry, freaking buy from you. Probably nobody. There's a whole psychology behind sales. Being open, face open, eyes open.
Smiling.
I want those people to sell to me. I have purchased soap from people who I didn't need soap, but because they were so good at telling me about their products, what the ingredients are, I was like, yes, give me soap. I don't need soap, but give me soap, because I appreciate the fact that you sold me so well on this that I'm not going to walk away. Now there's other times where I've been really interested in an item, and if the person who's behind the booth or the sales, if I ask them a question and they give me a one-word answer, or they're rude or dismissive, you know what? I was going to spend money with you, but now I'm not because you're a douche. So, and I mean, they might be a very nice person, but not everybody is meant to do sales. And so before you get into a position, that's all I'm saying, I guess is the moral of my story. Before you get into a position where you're actually supposed to be selling a product, you should probably actually like the product that you're selling. And then 2, understand that your personality has to adjust to be able to make the sale, right?
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you don't want to. It doesn't matter who you are if you're not welcomed, right? And that's the whole thing. If the person is not doesn't feel welcome, doesn't feel approachable, nobody's going to approach them. Nobody's going to want to talk to them, right? And it's happened more than you're right. It's happened more than once. We like going to farmers markets, and you always have that one or two individuals that are just either having a bad morning or they just I don't know, maybe they got into a fight with their spouse the night before and transferred over, but man, they are grumpy.
Right. And sometimes, like, sometimes you understand, like, you can understand certain situations. But for me, particularly, if I'm asking you about a product because I want to learn more about it, I need you I need you to actually provide me the information, and provide the information in a way that doesn't make me feel stupid, that, you know, it lets me know that you are interested in what you're selling, and trying to get that information out. So one of the fun things that we had while we were talking about this, I actually went downstairs. We talked about books. We talked about everything. I kid you not, it ran the whole gamut. But one of the things we talked about, and like I said, I went downstairs and I went and got a book by Tom Hopkins. And some of you folks out here who are a little bit older will recognize that name. And I initially got that book when I got into sales. I was doing door-to-door sales. That I was selling vacuum cleaners door to door. So
Yeah,
I've done the dirty with the vacuum cleaners, and let me tell you, like, it can be good money, right? But going into somebody's house, so like, I didn't have to do the appointment setting. I didn't have to do any of that. I just had to go close the deal. And so I was closing like 1 in 4, which isn't bad. Obviously we could always do better, but 1 in 4 isn't bad. But when you're going into somebody's house and like vacuuming and kind of cleaning, and people are people are disgusting. People are gross. So, and funny story behind that, I actually had, and you were so mad when I told you this story.
well, of course.
I had one guy who answered the door buck naked.
Yep.
Was there for the appointment. They lived in a manufactured, so he had to go up steps. So I knock on the door. I go down the steps. Guy opens the door, buck naked, and all I've got is that in my face. I mean, it wasn't like this close, but it was there. And then his wife comes to the door, and she's like, "Go put some pants on." I ended up selling them a vacuum cleaner, which I was happy about. Went home and told you, and you were like, "What?" He answered the door naked, and I was like, "Yeah, but I sold a vacuum cleaner."
Not worth it. Not worth it.
Oh my God, where does he live? I'm like, I'm not telling you where he lives. Anyway, sorry, that was a funny story. But Tom Hopkins, I started reading his books, and I started listening to his stuff on tape. Yes,
Yeah.
on cassette tape. I'd pop the cassettes in the car and I would listen. And it's real. I don't think, and I don't know how many people are still doing this these days. I don't know how many people are actually still listening to sales reps or sales professionals as they walk you through their process. If I didn't have that, DB.
Right? That would have, yeah, that was quite the moment.
Oh, he was mad. He was mad. He's like, "I can't believe you stayed." I'm like, "I needed to sell a vacuum cleaner." So we listened to, and Hector also listened to the stuff with me. So we got all of the sales training, right? As we listened to all these tapes, and we read these books, Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I mean, like, so we got really immersed in this whole sales lifestyle, right? And we understood the lingo. But while tools have changed, human behavior has not. So
No,
people
definitely.
still buy because they trust you, right? They believe you. You make them feel understood, and they're going to believe that the solution helps them. And that's a
True.
huge thing. If you can't get that across, and like we were talking with Ken Ashley, one of the things he said, when you're talking with a prospect or a client, ask questions and then shut up.
Yeah.
Great salespeople ask questions, they listen, and they listen not to be reactive, right? They are active listeners. They are not reactive listening. And I think a
Right.
lot of times there's issues and challenges with that. They
Well,
diagnose, they stay visible, and they follow up. So staying visible, obviously we talk about social media all the time. Staying visible also means showing up in their email, right? It means text messages. And that's part of the follow-up. And I think that so many people are afraid to do the follow-up. And I'll be the first to admit, follow-up for
mm,
me is not something that I'm great at, which is why I have a what the heck that works with me. Because we are realizing that we're missing out, and really the money is in the follow-up. So Hector, I want you to explain to the audience, what are we doing for follow-up when it comes to automations and AI?
so on the follow-ups, as you pointed out, emails, right? Well, you can always have a drip campaign. You can always have some kind of email
Explain
system
what a
set up.
drip campaign is.
A drip campaign, it consists of more than one email, right? It could be 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, however you want. But regardless, you want to have a series of emails that touches back with that client or prospect at that time, letting them know that you're still there, that you're still thinking about them, and you're not just bombarding them with emails, right? You're not just saying, "Hey, here I am, here I am." Um, they're emails that have value in them. They're emails that either give them something that they might need, maybe a PDF, or perhaps there's just a little bit more information about what your services could provide. But there's always some kind of value in those emails. And then, of course, once that last email comes back, or not comes back, but goes out, you want to do the ask. You want to say, "Hey, let's schedule an appointment. Let's sit down and see if this is a right fit for you. Am I somebody that can help you with whatever it is that you're whatever service that you're trying to provide them?" At that point, if nothing comes back, um, you can switch over to SMS, or you can even do email in conjunction with SMS. A lot of people live on their phone, obviously, especially in the CRU world. They live on their phone. So emails are not the only way to do a touch point. You want to do a combination of email, SMS, and again, even the SMSs should have some kind of value in them, right? You want to provide your service information, maybe dive a little deeper into one of the things that you provide, or send them a link to something else, right? Maybe it's an article that is valuable. You don't have to write those articles. It doesn't have to be yours.
Right.
It could be anybody's. It could be a YouTube video. It could be, whatever. It could be social media post. Whatever the case may be, it should provide some kind of value so that the engagement is there. Now, if you go through that series and you don't have a callback or an appointment scheduled, you move them on to a secondary drip system. And that one will be either once a month, once a quarter, or something like that. But you always want to continue that touch. You always want to stay, what is it? Top of mind,
Top of
right?
mind. Yep.
Because at the moment, they might not be ready to purchase. They might not be ready to sell. But the time will come, and Bob's had this experience, and he talks about it a lot. one of his clients. How long did it take him to finally get him to sell? It took him what, like 10 years?
Oh, there's been multiples where it's been, just decades. And when the person is finally ready to sell, it's like, of course, I came to you because you always sent me the newsletters, you always called, you sent text messages. It was that follow up. So in that person's mind, there was nobody else that they were going to call except for Bob, right?
Right.
He was the only one that they were going to call. And I think that is a big missed opportunity for a lot of people. And Beth Azar actually talks about this too. There's a story that she talks about how it was follow up. She'll follow up, I think she said 5 times. And when she was working in Ohio, and there was a bridal store that she kept following up with. She called, she tried to get appointments, and she slipped flyers under the door, and she connected via Instagram. So she was doing all of these things. And then finally she gets the woman who owns the store. She gets her, and the lady was just, initially thought, she goes, I thought you were a scam, because she had contacted her via DM. I thought you were a scam. And then takes the bridal shop owner to this space that she has at the mall. And it's like a 2-story, beautiful location. And if Beth hadn't, so the moral of the story, she ends up signing the lease. They get it leased out for this prom gowns, bridal gowns, all the gowns. And just gorgeous location, has beautiful staircase that comes down. Of course, it's going to be fabulous when you're doing reveals, like gown reveals, and you could just, all the marketing pieces that could go into that, how you could use that space.
Right.
And but if Beth hadn't followed up, she wouldn't have been able to move that woman into that space, and that woman have that space to display everything. And most people do give up after like two tries. They just don't continue on. And I think the biggest issue is that they just don't have a system or process in place. And I think this is where AI and AI automations can 100% help, because AI is not going to replace sales.
No. And again, so the drip system is an automation type system, right? And you can use Constant Contact or any of the email services out there. They all have now that kind of system going on. But if you have a CRM, if you have a robust CRM, all those CRM platforms now have those automations built in. They're AI. Some of them even write the emails for you. Some of them even write the SMSs for you. You just have to create, tell it, hey, I want a 5 email series with 3 SMSs in between each one of those. And this is what the concept is. I'm following up with this X person, right? And this is the type of service that I'm trying to provide them. Here are the links. Here's the information. And those CRMs are now just building them out for you. I mean, it is so simple that now there's really no excuse. Absolutely no excuse as to why I don't like writing emails. You don't have to write them, right? You just got to check them to make sure that they're somewhat in your voice, somewhat, make sure that they're pertinent to what it is that you're trying to do. But yes, CRMs, AI, and automations, those all go hand in hand nowadays with sales, and you can take advantage of them very easily.
Right. So if you have a good CRM, if you have a CRM, and everybody asks, what CRM do you use? Well, or what CRM should you use? It's the one that you're going to actually use, right? So we use Go High Level. We like Go High Level. If you have questions about that, connect with Hector and he'll tell you all about it. That's his deal. But when you're doing the follow-up, the thing is that like in your CRM, you can set up reminder systems. You can set up pipeline updates. You can set up meeting summaries. And then you can have different categories. So say you have a category for prospects. Maybe there's company research that needs to be done. There's an AI agent that I'm sure that can be built or has already been built that can do that. Providing valuable industry updates. Again, Beth Azor talks about this, about how with clients, she'll reach out to them, she'll email them, like Hector said, an article that she just read, something that is pertinent to them. Hey, I just saw this article and I thought of you.
Right.
Oh, you thought of me? Like, oh, that's cool. Like, thanks. You can also set up in your CRM and all these other processes triggers, so that if something gets triggered, then an automation happens, right?
Yes.
And then, of course, we have to, we talk about social media all the time, but let's think about the fact that you need to stay top of mind. So that includes creating content. And for a lot of people, they have content, they just sit on it and they continuously nitpick it. And if you think about the speed at which social media works, you just need to get the content out.
Right.
Stop
80%.
trying to make it perfect. Just
80%.
Yeah, 80%. You need to get to 80% and launch it. But this is a great question for the people that are joining us today. What if every prospect that you had got consistent follow-up for 12 months? What would that look like for you? What would that look like for your business? Right? So what if they were getting consistent follow-up for 12 months? And I'm preaching to the choir. Obviously, I'm horrible at follow-up. Hector and I were talking about this as we're talking with the solar guys. James Milner's joined us on the gram. We're talking about follow-up, CRMs, AI, and automations, and the art of the sale. So we were talking with the solar guys, and I really did basically give them a masterclass on how they can capture all of the clients from the solar company, like the people who sold us our solar, how they can make that happen. And then I gave them another follow-up sequence for getting reviews, right? Because I was telling them, you want to be able, this is again part of that follow-up process. So if you do something good for somebody, get a review for it. And I'm not talking about like you went and saved the neighbor's cat from the tree. Though, I mean, potentially if you had a Google business profile and you needed a good review, you could do that. Tom Clancy, Siri, thanks for joining us over on the gram. Good to have you here this morning. But the follow-up sequence for getting reviews is after a couple weeks, you have to call, make the phone call, right? Hey, in a few minutes, we're going to be sending you an email with a review that we've already written for you. If it's good, please email us back and let us know. If not, there's also a link that you can write your own review and put it to Google or wherever it is. We use Senja to get reviews. Senja is Senja, and we send that out, and people can actually do video reviews for us, which we then, of course, take and put on our website. But that's part of the follow-up process, is getting that review, right? Or while you're on the phone with them, hey, did you check out the review? Did you get the email with the review? Perfect. If you got that, take a look at it. Is it good for you? Yeah, it's good. You're removing the friction. Because if you make people go write you a review, it's never going to happen. So like when I'm writing reviews for clients who have decided to end their contracts, I'm very specific about what we were able to do for them results wise. We do percentages. We talk about how much organic reach we were able to get them, how much growth they saw over the course of the time that they worked with us, right? Very specific to them, and giving them that signal that, oh, she actually helps brands grow, right? This is what we're doing. This is what we talk about all the time. If they don't like it, that's fine. They can edit it and then send it back to me. And then, of course, there's the follow-up. If they don't send the email, hey, I sent you that, right? And so it's just this continuous thing. So let me tell you why reviews are so important. When it comes to agentic search is using reviews as a signal as to whether you were to be a trusted brand.
Yeah, especially right now, Google merging all their tools together, really, under their AI banner, is definitely using those reviews to rank you. So you gotta think about your SEO, you gotta think about your AEO, but you also have to think about your reviews. All of those are being pulled in order to rank you on Google.
Yeah, they are. And not just that, but think about, when you search the best of, who is the best? And if you have glowing reviews, that content's going to get pulled. And it's here. Actually, this is a conversation. I believe I sent you this link, Hector, on Messenger the other day. And if not, I'll go find it. But there was a whole conversation as to whether or not you should still have a Facebook page. And this was in one of the AI. James Milner says, I struggle with review responses. Is it really necessary? 100%, James.
Yes,
we just discussed that because when we look at agentic search is using reviews as a signal that you are a trusted brand. And so it's pulling that information from Google. It's pulling it from your website. Wherever you can have some sort of review, definitely need to have it posted so that search, whether it's search engine or agentic search. So we're talking Perplexity, we're talking ChatGPT, we're talking Claude, or any of the other ones, Gemini. It's all pulling that information in. So yes, reviews are important. Remove the friction when you're when you're asking for a review. Write the review for them. Be very specific about what the service was that was provided. And so that it's also, think about how, as you are writing the review for the client, which again seems super funny that you would do that, think about what your services were offering and what you're trying to convey to somebody who would be reading that review.
Right.
Why should we trust this person? Oh, well, they were able to do this. They were able to do that. So let's talk about building your follow-up machine as we close this out. Your framework is, you need to capture every lead. That is you need to have a good CRM to do that. One of the things I like about what we have with Go High Level is that we can take pictures of business cards and it will actually pop it into the CRM, which is fabulous. So cool. So capture every lead. Create follow-up reminders. So is this 2 weeks, 4 weeks? Are the reminders text messages? Are they emails? Are they providing value? And then you're going to automate those repetitive tasks. This isn't something that you should have to think about. It should already be built into whatever system you're using so that it launches without you having to think about it. And then,
or at least give you a reminder that it's coming up, right? I mean, you can set up reminders in there as well. So it's not necessarily you have to make an automation for every last thing, but at least at the very minimum should give you a reminder.
Yep, absolutely. You need to personalize the communication. It can't be, it can't be bracket or hello bracket name. Actually, that would be an entire series. That would be super funny. And you obviously need to stay visible between conversations, which means you need to be on social. You need to be showing up in their inbox. Maybe it's a touch with a text message. And not everything has to be sales focused. Rob Santomassimo is really good at what's new, what's next, how can I help, right? He talks about that when he's talking with inactive clients. What's new, what's next, how can I help? Right? And you're having this conversation with them.
You can frame those emails with those topics, right? As well as your SMS, so that there's always, again, you don't want to pitch them every single time. You want to provide some kind of something to them that is worth for them to sit there and read it, even if it's just a short message.
Right. Yeah. So everything should have some sort of value. And maybe part of that sequence is like, hey, haven't heard from you in a while. Just touching, just connecting, just, checking in.
So on that topic of checking in, I worked with a residential real estate, and she would get her clients' birth dates, anniversaries, their kids' birthdays, if they were into sports, what sport, whatever. And the messages would be, hey, how's little Tommy doing with soccer this year? Or, hey, happy birthday. Just thinking about you. just a real quick, nothing specific, just, hey, thinking about you. Basically, you're at the top of my mind. And all these little things can be automated. You can easily put that into a calendar and automate them so that they go out.
Right. And it's those little touches that make a difference, right? You never know what somebody else is going through. And having just somebody reach out and say, hey, thinking about you can make a huge difference in somebody's day. Elvira has joined us over on the gram. Good morning, Elvie. So before we close out, I guess one thing that I want to say to everybody, and it's a lesson that I learned a long time ago, particularly when it comes to sales, is people are not thinking about you. They are thinking about themselves. So once again, people are not thinking about you. They are thinking about themselves. And this lesson came to me from a trainer because I was upset because I wasn't getting called back. I had a couple contracts out. I wasn't hearing back from the people. And he was just like, they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. So stop taking this personal. It's not about you. And it was like such a light bulb moment that I've taken with me, because now that's 26 years ago, 25 years ago that I learned that lesson. But I have carried it with me in everything that I've done because it's 100% true. That's why social media is so important to stay top of mind, because people are not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. So if there's a way that you can connect with them, even if it's just showing up on their screen and your face is there bright and early, that's a signal. It's a trigger, right? Like, oh, hey, I got to call this person. Oh, hey, I got to, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that little bit. So regardless of what you're doing on social, regardless of how you're doing the follow-up, you still need to actually be in front of them some way, somehow.
True.
Sales has always been about relationships. And the difference today versus 25 years ago is that technology makes it easier and gives you fewer excuses. So you shouldn't be letting any of those opportunities slip through the cracks. But the fundamentals still win. You still have to get people to like, know, and trust you for them to feel comfortable to transact with you. And the professionals who follow up, as shown through our example with our solar guys, those that follow up will get paid. All right, everybody, we will be back here on Tuesday. Thanks for joining Hector and I on today's episode of Social.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.